Why Watch That is a podcast featuring the critic
and referee who go head-to-head on a quest to discover the best movies
and TV shows Hollywood has to offer. Expect the unexpected from the critic.
Well, nothing gets past the ref.
We do all the work,
so you don't have to. Welcome to Why Watch That. This episode of Why Watch That is supported by Entrepreneur Meal Plan. It helps leaders and professionals feed their bodies and businesses well. Do you know, Critic, I got a chance to attend a wonderful event by EMP here in Los Angeles. And it was so amazing because Brandy Cochran was able to gather people from all sorts of walks of life. We were able to gather together, have real talk, and some real good food too. It was a hit.
It's food for the soul and the body, which is so hard to find. So if you want to learn more about Entrepreneur Meal Plan, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, go to entrepreneurmealplan.com.
The Why Watch That TV Talk.
Hello, listeners. Oh, we're back. We're here. We ain't going anywhere because we can't. But it's opening up a little bit. I don't know how it is
opening
in New York.
Where we live. Yes, gently.
Well,
yes.
I told you I rented a car. I was all over the place. I was in Malibu, Santa Monica.
Love Malibu.
Everywhere. Well, listeners, I hope that you are safe. And we hope you're safe. We hope you are,
please,
taking it easy as things start to lighten up and open up. But in case you, like me, you don't want to do too much.
Yes,
and
cautious.
So
you dip the toe in the water before you jump in.
Well, see, I'm a jump in girl.
You are. So you don't like test to see what the temperature is?
No, because I'll talk myself out of because that's torture. Just like I just go ahead and just jump on in there. But
cannonball style?
No. But just in case you're like the critic and you want to dip your toe in society and remain the rest of your body remaining at home, we've got some TV shows, and also we have a sneak peek and a first look. So I'm just saying, this is pretty amazing. We are going to start with some series premieres. Now, this is the new stuff that's out. We're going to start with a very new show that is on AMC. In fact, it's not only a series premiere, but a series finale. It's a mini-series. It's just 3 episodes. It's called Quiz. And it's on AMC, like I said, and it's going to air across 3 consecutive weeks. So you'll be able to catch it. The critic was able to take a look, and I'm curious what Quiz is all about. Now, AMC, I mean, they were the king for a while, and then Hulu snuck in and started doing some stuff, and FX and stuff, but
it was really FX cleaned that clock.
Cleaned everybody's clock. But does this look like something that's putting AMC back on the map?
Well, like you said, it is just a mini-series, and it finished tonight. So I have finished all 3 episodes. It is about the scandal across the pond at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the original.
Oh, there was a scandal?
Yeah, I didn't know this either.
No.
I had no idea that there was like a actual, court case and criminal charges. Look.
Sounds like that McDonald's fiasco.
Oh my God.
Monopoly.
If you haven't watched that docuseries on HBO, I am telling y'all, we don't cover this stuff on Why Watch That. Watch that. I'm not even a true crime person. I don't go into it. But I had to watch that. It was fascinating. You do not know what's coming. You have no idea. These people are characters. It's almost like, is this real? These are real. What? Just watch that. Okay.
So if you liked that, then maybe quiz is something we can tie that in.
Yeah, maybe quizzes. Now it's British, so
yes,
it's not quite as crazy, but they do have their characters now. Matthew McFadden. Yes. You know him from Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice.
The movie.
Yeah.
He plays Charles Ingram. And Charles Ingram is a military man. By the way, this takes place in 2001.
Okay.
Yes. So, okay.
Simpler times.
Yes. So it starts before and goes to after. What happened in 2001. Okay. So, he's just living his life. He has his wife and kids, and his wife loves what they call quizzes in Great Britain. So you can go to a pub and, you just play quizzes, what we call trivia.
Yeah.
Trivia night. So they do. She loves it. Her whole family loves it. She has a disagreeable brother who loves it. And so Who Wants to Be a Millionaire comes out. Now we see also the producers of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because the show that eventually became that, when they pitched it originally to the network was like, pass. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to see an original British game show. We get our game shows from the States. So there's a change at the network. The new person in charge is like, I'm interested. They find that there's something compelling about it. So this comes to the fore. And the brother of Charles's wife says, I'm going on this thing. Now, there is a whole community of people who know the tricks of the trade to get on game shows, because you can't get on. So they trade secrets. They have all these schemes to get you there. And they do the same thing for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So it ends up being the same sorts of people coming on the show. And the producers and everybody are like, why are all of these people, what they look like? They don't look like the diverse populace.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? So the brother gets on the show in the chair, wins some money. His sister, Charles's wife, gets in the chair, wins some money. And a bunch of other people do. And then Charles himself, reluctantly, he doesn't go on this show. He's like, it's not my thing. He gets in the chair. And you know what happens when he does?
He wins.
Now, how did he win? Because he becomes a millionaire. He goes all the way. And he has this strange style of playing. No, they've never seen this before. It's very strange. And they start noticing that something was happening every time he changed an answer to a correct answer. Are there people who are behind this helping him and cheating? They contact the cops. A whole bunch, 3 people get charged, Charles's wife and someone else who I didn't mention, and they stand trial. Now, when we see this from our perspective, we're like, it's obvious that they did something cheating. We see not only him sitting in the chair and what happened, but before he got into that chair, what they were doing. His wife, by the way, was co-writing a book on how to do this.
Oh my gosh.
So, okay. And then you get through the trial and all that. The question is it still what you think it is? What's the outcome? Because I had no idea about the news on this. What actually happened? What are they doing right now? So this show, from the beginning, I was like, ooh, this is very interesting. Now, I mean, the casting is wonderful. I mean, look, our boy, Mr. Michael Sheen, plays the host of the show.
Of course he does.
And you have a whole bunch of other, British veterans in this. And the thing is, even when I didn't find it as interesting as other parts, it was always professional. There's something about professionalism that I love. And they had a lot of moments where I was like, ooh, what's happening? When you get to the 3rd episode, you think you know, but you really don't. And Helen McCrory plays the barrister who is defending them, and she's just having a lot of fun. So it was just great to see that actual trial come to fruition, because from the beginning, you see that they're on trial. You just don't see it happening. Also, what are the repercussions of all of this? So if you had no idea of this story and you're interested, I say check it out. It's already aired. See if AMC is going to air it again. Or, of course, you can check out their app or on demand if this is your kind of thing. I would say it was definitely good.
Okay, AMC's trying to make their comeback.
Well, they're coming back with other people's stuff.
Well, yeah, for the Brits. May I destroy you?
I may.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, right. You may.
Well, this is on HBO.
May we.
And I have to say that they've been so when I watch Insecure, like right before I watch it, they always show this the trailer and snippets from it. And to be honest with you, I have no idea really what this is. Something grave happens to this girl, and this is the same star and creator from, remember that show Chewing Gum on Netflix?
Yeah, she's
a Brit, and she is, the equivalent to Phoebe Waller.
Yes.
Maybe it is. But when you watch the trailer, and you're going to tell us about it, when you watch the trailer, it looks, she has some sort of weird memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and living a really robust lifestyle. And I'm sure you'll get into that, because the trailer's kind of, showing her whatever happened the night before. She don't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to the point where, people were like, girl, you were doing your thing. So this is 12 episodes, which is unusual for HBO for a new series. So curious to see if they're going to be able to maintain this momentum for 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
Wow. So, yeah, now I haven't seen Chewing Gum. I haven't watched it. I have seen Michaela in Top Boy.
Yeah.
Which is coming back hopefully later this year, and then I'll review it at that time. And of course, she's done Black Mirror. But like you said, this is her show. She wrote every episode. Of course, she created it. She's co-directing some of it. So it's her baby. And what a mind she has. I'll put it that way. Mm. Now, from the opening, the first episode, the second episode is airing or just aired now. The first episode, you kind of get to know these people. I was kind of like, okay, where's the title? So Michaela's playing Arabella, who's a writer, a successful one. We see in the first episode, she's just walking down the street in London, and people are walking up to her going, oh my gosh, are you Arabella? That kind of thing. Yeah. I read such and such. So, okay, she has some sort of a presence in the public. Now, she's not mega famous, but she's successful. And she has gone to Italy at the beginning to visit a boyfriend. And she's supposed to be there writing. Her agents expected, they are funding this. Did she write anything?
Okay.
So she has to come back and, try to cobble some stuff together. And during this night when she's doing that, she just has writer's block. She can't just get it out of her mind, just the problem of writing and what should she write. A friend comes over and tries to help her by telling her, no, you're not going out. I'll sit with you. But he goes, and she is invited out. And while she's invited out, she decides to go out for an hour. But there are some substances involved. And she enjoys them. But presumably she does go back to work. We see it. Now, what does she write? Does it make any sense? You'll see whether that's the case or not when you watch this, if you decide to. But then at the very end, Ref, of episode 1, we think, okay, fine. She just is trying to figure this out. At the very end, there's a flash of a memory. And it ain't good. Because when she was at this bar, she had trouble walking. Now, is it the substances or is it another substance?
Like a roofie?
There you go.
No.
So she gets a flash and she goes, episode 2. She still hasn't grasped what may have happened. Right? So I haven't finished episode 2. I just watched it to see where it was going. So in episode 2, she's trying to piece this together. She reaches out to her friend who invited her out because she doesn't remember. She's like, well, did I make it back? You know, how did I get this cut on my head?
Oh my gosh.
And episode 2, the title is Someone is Lying. So what I expect, and based on the trailer that makes sense, is that this is going to snowball into something real bad. Because right now it's really tame and calm. But I can see what Michaela's doing. This is the more that Arabella remembers, the more the picture becomes clear, the more the title will come to be. So we'll see how well they develop this over the course of 12 episodes. The first episode, Ref, I was kind of like, okay, these people, I take them or leave them, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Once we got to the end, I was like, okay, let's see what happens in episode 2. And that's where I am now. I do want to see how it unfolds, and I'll go as far as I can. I mean, you know, I will stop. Like that show on HBO Max that they renewed, I had to stop.
What show?
With Anna Kendrick.
Oh, Love
Life.
Yeah.
Because
I gotcha.
y'all gotta develop it right. We'll see what they do with I May Destroy You. So far, I'm interested. I want to see where it goes.
Well, I tell you what, she and Phoebe are really going head to head with these, just really rocking out these shows, very peculiar shows. I may check it out, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But you also got a chance to see, now we haven't talked about this network I think the last time we talked about this network was like either Arrow or Flash. Yeah. But CW has a new show, or excuse me, a show returning called Bulletproof. This is its second season. Oh wait, can I go back to May I Destroy You? Is that an hour or half hour?
Half.
Okay, good. Oh, these half-hour dramas. Bulletproof.
Well, it's kind of like, it does have a little comedic kind of thing in it.
Oh, okay.
So right now, that's a good thing to bring up. Right now, it's not heavy. You're not watching it going, oh, this is a disaster.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's just like her. You're in her shoes. You know what she knows. So,
gotcha.
She gets a flash, we get the flash. And so we're all like, what? She's kind of like, is this real? I don't even know. So we haven't gotten to where, I get the pitchforks out.
Well, back to Bulletproof.
Yeah.
You, I don't quite remember what this is about, so you have to refresh our memories with this. But it's back for season 2, and I am in awe, to be honest with you, of shows that are premiering either series or new seasons of shows, especially as we are, in this pandemic. It's just super interesting to me.
Yeah. And this is also across the pond, starring Ashley Walters and Noel Clarke. Now, Ashley Walters is Duchesne in Top Boy. That's him. So instead of playing a drug dealer, he plays a detective in this show. And he and his best friend are partners, and they are trying to infiltrate organized crime. So it's interesting watching him in Top Boy and in this, because it's kind of like the same guy if he were in different circumstances. So in this second season, there's something going on with the brass in the police department. Let's say that. And while this is happening, the two friends, Ronnie and Aaron, they decide, let's go undercover and try to expose, this criminal syndicate. Why not? Now, after season 1, the question is, what about their personal lives? We know that Aaron, his relationship did not end well in season 1, and it didn't change so far in season 2. For Ronnie, he has a wife, he has kids. His older daughter is grown up. She's talking like she's in Top Boy, and, Aaron's looking at Ronnie going, when is she turn into a gangster? So, that whole thing is happening. Also, their boss, she has something going on in her personal life that may compromise her. We see that in the first episode, what's happening there, and so on and so forth. So, the great thing about this show is it's not a lot of episodes. I mean, it was 6 episodes in the first season, 8 episodes will be in the second season. So if you want to see this kind of show for police detectives in this time, let's not gloss over that. It is not the kind of show that glorifies the cops. These are real black dudes in Britain. I'll put it that way. And they are going after organized crime. So keep that in mind. And me watching it, it's just diverting. It's kind of like if Hawaii Five-0 was slightly more serious and from the Brits. So they have their fun. The whole dynamic between Ashley and Noel as the 2 lead characters is the show. Like, they just have a great rapport with each other. So that would be the reason to watch it. And again, it's not a lot of episodes, but it is like 40 something minutes per episode. So there you go. That's Bulletproof.
I think it's interesting. I do vaguely remember you talking about this, and it just seems like an odd network in my mind for some reason. It doesn't feel CW-ish.
Well, that's maybe why I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Now, look, CW is like, we need to fill programming in the summer.
Yeah.
This is now, it's not so far from that brand that it makes no sense, but it is them reaching. Yes, that's true.
Got it. Okay, we both got a chance to see the season finale of Insecure. Low-Key Lost was the name of the episode, the final episode. And it's already been renewed for season 5, and it ends that way. So the ending, this ending, there better be a season 5, because I don't know if we're going to give it all away. I'm not sure if you want to do that. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But we both got a chance to see it, and you can go ahead, and I'll just probably chime in and interrupt you and annoy you.
Yeah, so season 4, really, there have been 2 major storylines. So we have Issa, of course, we have Molly. The dissolution of their friendship has been the major driving force. Issa is still trying to, do the community outreach events that surprisingly worked for her.
Yeah.
So can she keep that up? Now, the person who helped her with that was Dayton Lawrence. Uh-oh. Now, what happened with that relationship? What about Issa and Lawrence? What's going on with them? And then Molly and her boyfriend. What's happening there? What's happening? That's the question. So it's all surrounding Issa and Molly, pretty much throughout the season. And at the end, we do see something happen between Issa and Molly, because they not friends no more. What brought them back together? It was something very alarming.
Who?
Yes, very alarming. Also, when it comes to Mr. Lawrence, where is he going? Because after, the first few seasons, we know he got his act together, he's making money. Is he going to San Francisco? These questions always come up, and that remains to be answered at the end of the season. And I mean, you know, what is there to say really plot-wise about Insecure? The thing is, for me, here's what I have to say about this season. I'll start with the bad. There's one storyline that I did not need at all, period.
Which one?
That's Molly and the boyfriend. I don't care.
Yeah.
Means nothing to me. Actually, to be honest, I don't care about Molly. I don't like Molly. I don't like, meaning the character. Don't like the character. Well, I'm like, okay, Issa, just move on. Because if you're going to be a friend, even if you have friends who are challenging, in my opinion, you have two options with challenging friends when they come to you with problems all the time and don't listen to you. Don't be their friend no more, and that's fine. Or if you're going to be, then just let them talk. Why are you bringing stuff up all the time? And we see that play out with the boyfriend. We see it. And she always thinks she's right. It's just not, I don't want to see that. So that's just me. But outside of that, I did find interesting Issa and Lawrence. Because I was like, oh, like when what happens. I'm like, oh, are we really going here with that? Also, I was more interested in the blip of the relationship we got in this final episode, Ref. That little blip with Tiffany and her husband.
Derek, yeah.
That was much more interesting to me than all of the time we spent with Molly. Much more interesting. Much more. Also, Natasha Rothwell's character, Kelly, I can watch her all the time. She's hilarious. Just the whole perspective, she always makes it fresher when she's on the screen with them.
Yeah.
Let's get more of her. Where is Neil Brown Jr.'s character? We saw him once. I need more. I know he's doing other stuff.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. But this final episode I did find very interesting. At first watching it, Ref, I was like, okay, where are we going? And then they start turning it into something. It was just interesting how they pieced that together. So I would say that I'm still watching Insecure. I still like to see LA through their eyes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there in a way that I want to be. And I do applaud them. They were trying some stuff this season. Some of it worked. Some of it didn't. But it certainly was never unwatchable.
I enjoyed the finale. Prentice Penny, who is the showrunner, as well as the director and the writer for this episode. I actually met him. He's he is such a dynamic person, and he has a huge long-standing reputation for other shows that he's been on. I mean, he's put in his time. And this episode, you can definitely sense that maturity. You know what I mean? Sense that very guided. I felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes,
and like you said, he wrote and directed it.
Yes.
Which a lot of people fail at.
Very much. Well, he's showrunning, wrote it and directed it. Yeah. So it really was his baby. And I felt safe. I felt safer in that last episode than I had before. Molly and her boo. I agree with you. I've been struggling with Molly, but since day one, just struggling. I don't like the dynamic of their relationship. I know a lot of people do, but some of these girls, I just don't know them. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I'm not that far removed, but it's just the dynamic between them and among them. I just don't know them. But what I did like this season to end it is that they explored the crossover of that weird crossover that we all made or make or are making when we are in our early 30s and we're no longer kids.
Yeah.
No longer young people. We are merging into adulthood, and you see, like, Issa's basically the poster child of it, of her, you know, doing away with Lawrence, trying to do better, lost for season 2. Season 3, she's just trying to, you know, find herself again. And in season 4, we really see a beautiful evolution, and she's on a high, and then she gets kicked in the gut with the finale.
Yeah.
And Molly, you've seen on a high for a while, it deteriorates. And we see her even in therapy, and her therapist having a hard time. Now, when your therapist has a hard time,
I got something to tell that therapist. I got some ideas. Mm-hmm.
I bet you do. So anyway, I think Insecure listeners, here's the deal. This is another half-hour comedy, but there was a lot of drama this season. Yes. A lot of drama. And I think that if you haven't started it already and you just got HBO Max, or you know what I mean? Like, you're just trying to figure out something, and hey, let's just put it out there. This is a different Black perspective. So if you're looking for something different, not The Chi, not, Wire, not Wu-Tang, not, or let's just flip it all the way, not Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking for a very modern, millennial, it's millennial to the T, but Black perspective. And if you like some good music, like good, cutting edge music that you wouldn't normally listen to on Spotify, I think Insecure is worth starting, and I think you should start from the beginning. It's just a half hour. You could breeze right through this series and be prepared for season 5.
Yeah,
but you got a chance.
Concur.
Oh.
I concur with that. Yep.
Oh, well, good. Although I do have a hard time with those ladies, though. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know these people. I don't.
Just look, I don't need the nastiness. Like, I just don't.
Exactly.
And I like Issa, regardless of her flaws. Like, you like her. Yes. We know her. So it's like Molly, like, she needs dimension.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree. Now, let's switch over to movies, because we've been talking about TV, and some people want to watch, some movies. Mm-hmm. You got a chance to see a sneak peek of a new movie called 7500.
Yeah.
Or 7500. Or 7500. Or 7500. However you want to look at it. You got a chance to see that. It is available on, you can catch it on the 19th of June on Amazon Prime. And this is directed by Patrick Walrath. It is written by him, but also Sanad Halabasic also wrote it as well. The cast is, I'm going to be honest with you, it is not a cast that you would immediately go, oh, I know these people. They look European, maybe. Some of these folks I've seen in other things. And you can go through Critic and tell us where we may have seen some of these people. But again, we're dealing with a subject matter that is, terrorism, basically.
Yeah. And the one person you do know is the star, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So
right, and we know him from Inception and Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah. I mean, 500 Days in Summer. I mean,
what was that? Wire? What was it? Where he was a type
The Walk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and so on and so forth. I mean, he's been in basically half the movies that Hollywood has made now.
He is kind of sneaky. He'll sneak up on you.
He will sneak in there, and I'm a huge fan of his work, so I have no problem with that. You do you. Plus, one of my favorite movies, he's in 50-50, just one of my favorites.
You do love that movie.
Now for 7500, another title with numbers in it. He plays the first pilot, the co-pilot. So he's not the captain of the plane, and it's a commercial plane. They're going from Berlin to Paris. Okay. So the movie starts, and we see them going through the whole motions of getting the plane ready before people board. They're checking all of the systems. He's with the captain. You know, the flight attendants are getting on and all of that. They're like, oh, it's stuffy in here. You know, that kind of just real life stuff. And we find that one of the flight attendants, they have locked eyes. Why? What's going on with that? Do they have a secret? I won't give it away. So they get everything ready. We see kind of the dynamic of the plane, the crew, how they all work together. Great. And then the people board. And there are a couple of people who haven't checked in for the flight. Their bags are checked. Their bags are on the plane. Stowed away. But they ain't there. So, you know, the people at the airport go to the captain and like, well, what do you want to do? And the captain's kind of like, I'm ready to go. To teach them a lesson. Get their bags out of here and we can go. Do they actually make it onto the plane? Does this mean anything? I won't tell you. So the plane takes off finally. They get going, everything's fine, and you know what happens based on what the ref said. The question is how and why. And you know it's starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So you know he's going to have to do a lot of problem solving if he's going to survive this. And the little things that you learned along the way, you know, are going to play out in the end. There will be certain situations that Joseph's character will be in that will be very uncomfortable. He will have to make certain decisions that will be life and death decisions. One of the questions will be, do you save an individual or do you save the group?
Oh boy.
Now, we do have these terrorists. Do we get to know them? Maybe. Yes, depending on who you're talking about. But why? What's the point of it? And now let me go into my review because that's pretty much all I can give away. This is straightforward. I mean, it's not that difficult. Yeah. We've seen movies like this before. So the question is, why now? Why this movie? Do you want to see it? I like watching people work. Like that is just something I like. And the older I get, the more I think about what I like. That's just something that's consistent. I will watch cooking shows even though I'm not going to eat the food. I like cooking competitions. I don't care about the food. I just like to watch the process. So in the opening, I was like, ooh, it wasn't even that big of a deal. I was just interested in them getting the plane together. And they just do it matter-of-factly. Like you said, outside of Joseph, you know, it's a lot of European vets here acting in this. And I was just kind of hypnotized by it. Then when the whole terrorism thing happens, okay, let's see the thought process. Let's just see how you work your way through it. Fine. And I was fine with that. I was cool. This movie comes in at under an hour and a half for the literal runtime of the film you're watching. So it's not long. So I was like, okay, let's go. Toward the end, they try to humanize one of the terrorists, which I understand. But if you're going to do that, you got to do it well. And it was not done well. And it was a bit too much of it. I'll tell you this, everybody. You will see it coming before it comes. Everything. You know who's in trouble, who's not. You'll know what decisions they'll have to make. It's no surprise. But it was just the execution I was fine with. And then the end, I was kind of like, y'all, I know what y'all trying to do. You're trying to say, well, this is not just another terrorist movie. We don't want to make, terrorists look, people who become terrorists, we don't want to demean them anymore. Then you're going to have to do it well. I don't know if they quite nailed that. But again, it's not that long. So I will say, if you want to see this in the air thriller, it's not like, oh my goodness, I'm grabbing onto the edge of my seat, but it will keep your attention for the most part. It was the last 20 minutes or so when I was kind of like, okay, whatever. But it was brisk for the most part. I didn't mind watching it. It's going to be on Amazon Prime. So why not? And the question I'll leave you with is this. What does 7,500 mean?
I know what it means, but I don't have to tell you.
Yes.
Well, you got a chance to take a first look at, good gracious, Spike Lee. He's back. and he is coming to us with the 5 Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it purposely that way. It's DA, 5 Bloods.
Yep.
So don't.
And it's all throughout the movie, The White House.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on Netflix, and this scares me.
Mm-hmm.
Only because Netflix, they don't say no to nothing. It's like they don't give any notes. So unleashing Spike Lee, especially at a time like this, makes me nervous for others, not for me. But
Mm-hmm.
but so here we go with a classic Spike Lee situation. You know, he's directing it. I feel like every time Spike Lee gets involved, there are 8,500 writers. So we have Danny Bilson, we have Paul DeMeo, we've got his, long time. How long has Kevin Wilmot been, around Spike Lee? And then Spike Lee. So you have 4 writers to this thing, and then you got every Black male actor that exists. Well, maybe not everyone, but namely, you've got the Black Panther starring in this, and this is Chadwick Boseman is in it, along with one of our favorite, kind of unknown, Jonathan Majors. Look out for him. He's got something coming at us on HBO that looks super interesting.
Yes, yes.
We have our
Lovecraft
favorite
country. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Delroy Lindo from The Good Fight. He's coming at us. Clark Peters. Norm Lewis. Does he sing in this?
No.
Paul Walter Hauser, who earned my respect with his last movie, along with, Jean Reno. Anytime you have Jean Reno in it, I just automatically curious. What in the world is he doing here?
Yeah.
I can go on and on and on. It's about Vietnam. I feel like Spike's tackled World War II with, that World
Miracle
War II
at
movie.
St. Anna.
Miracles at St. Anna. Now we're at Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And Spike Lee. What's going on here? And it's Netflix.
A lot is going on.
I'm sure it is.
Now, The 5 Bloods is a group of Black men who fought in Vietnam together. That's what they are. And 4 of them made it out. So the one who didn't is played by Chadwick Boseman. So Chadwick Boseman is in the flashbacks. And these 4 survivors have come back to Vietnam in the present day.
Wait,
Why?
why?
Well, the remains of Chadwick's character, Storm and Norm, who was their squad leader, they want to get his remains and give him a proper burial. But there's also something else they're going there for.
Uh-oh.
They intercepted some gold bars that they buried, and they got to go find them gold bars and get that money.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Now, the 4 surviving Bloods are played by Delroy Lindo, Clark Peters, Norm Lewis, and and Isaiah Whitlock Jr.
Yeah.
Now, when they first meet, it's like, oh, hey, blood, that kind of thing. They're in the hotel. They're doing their whole thing. And they have to have someone guide them to where they need to be, all of that. So this is, of course, suspicious. 4 Black men showing up at Vietnam going into the jungle. Okay. Now, if they get this gold, you can't just have gold and get money out of it. Somebody's got to do some sort of exchange. You got to hide it from the government.
Yeah.
So who's the go-between? Well, that's where Jean Reno comes in.
Ah.
Playing Desroches. Now, they call him DeRoche. Okay.
Oh, of course.
Is he a trustworthy character?
No, because he never is. That never plays trustworthy.
Now, Clark Peters' character, Otis, he had a relationship in Vietnam. So this woman he had a relationship with, maybe she can help him out. There's also something that maybe he left behind when he went back to the States. So that's an interesting thing happening.
No.
Well, I can't tell you.
Don't tell us.
Now, when it comes to, I'll tell you, Norm Lewis's character, Eddie, and Isaiah Whitlock's junior character, Melvin, we don't really get as much from them, but there is something later on in the film, because this is a Spike Lee movie, so it's like 2.5 hours.
Of course.
Later on in the film, you learn something about Norm Lewis's character, Eddie. Because from the beginning, he's the one going, hey, I'm going to pay for that. I'm going to pay for this. Why? I'll leave that for you to find out. And then there's Paul, played by Delroy Lindo, who really, this is his movie. Him first, Clark Peters, and Jonathan Majors, which I'll get to in a second. So Paul is bothered. I'll put it that way. He ain't happy, even to this day. He's haunted by the past. Why? He is very disagreeable. His son, who's played by Jonathan Majors, David, they don't get along. Why not? So that's a big thing. And what is David's role in this? What is it? I won't even tell you that either. But it's something. So these 4 remaining Bloods, the question is, can they get the remains? Can they get the gold? And if they do, can they keep it? Now, this movie is about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not only about dealing with the repercussions of war, not just from Vietnam vets from the States, but also in Vietnam itself. Also the whole just military industrial complex, but also dealing with Black men in this situation, the history of Black men in this situation, the history of Black people, period.
Oh.
Okay? The United States. What happens when you have war, not just war that's international, but also domestic, and not just from the hands of people in the military. Okay? What happens with political systems, with money? What's going on between fathers and sons?
Oh my gosh.
What's going on with romantic relationships? What happens when you have PTSD? What happens when you go to the doctor? What are they going to give you to treat it? And I'm missing about 1,000 things.
Jeez.
All in 2.5 hours. Now, this is Spike Lee. Spike Lee is messy. We know this. And when he's brilliant, the mess makes sense. When he's brilliant, you go from one seemingly disjointed moment to another, and it all flows. There's a magic to it. Jungle Fever, Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing. There's a magic.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that magic here, my friends.
Yeah.
Now, compared to Black Klansman, I like this better.
Okay.
That's me. I did not like Black Klansman. No, I did not.
Oh, and say it. Say it.
Okay? It was a mess. And I say that forcefully because I'm a huge Spike Lee fan. He is one of the main influences on me watching anything. So no, I know it when I smell it. And it ain't right. And what I'm noticing, Ref, is, like you said, we got like 100 people writing with him now.
Yeah, it's just too much.
Spike, write alone or write with one other person. That's when you had your success. We don't need all these people in it. And what I suspect is, look, Spike is like, y'all write some of it and I'll come and clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no. And a lot of it is old. Like we've heard Hollyweird before from you, Spike. Like, we need a new lingo. It just feels retro in a way that is overdone. Now, I was not bored ever watching this. And I think that he casted it well because these actors lift it up as much as they can. It's not bad. It's just not what Spike can be, and I'm a Spike fan. I'm not going to be like a lot of these other people saying, oh, it's so great because it's timely. No. Now, for the acting, Clark Peters is always wonderful. I just like, man, his presence.
Even in Harriet, Like it. He had little to do. He's amazing.
Amazing. Heart, intelligence. Just love watching him. You'll see what happens to him. Love that whole storyline. See, that's the thing. Like, there are like 100 movies in here that Spike could do a whole movie on. It would be good. It would be great. But if you have 100 together, you gotta be really good. Now, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is always the comic relief. That's what he's there for. And he doesn't disappoint. We have Norm Lewis, who's there. I'll put it that way. He's there. And he does his job when it's called upon him to do so. Stage veteran, Norm Lewis knows what he's doing.
And can sing.
That Scandal show, too. Jonathan Majors.
Oh, come on. I'm a huge fan.
We love him. There's no reason not to love him after seeing this again. Always, I mean, they trained him well.
Juliet.
Okay? He knows what he's doing. So it was nice to see him paired with Delroy Lindo. And Delroy Lindo doesn't hold back. I would tell you that. This ain't the good fight, Delroy Lindo.
Well, I can't even imagine then if that's... Because he's pretty off the chain on that.
No, he doesn't trust anybody, not his son, no one, nothing. It's a lot. Okay? So they're all there doing their jobs. And then you also have a lot of international actors, not just Jean Reno and others. Spike casted some of the other people from Black Klansman. Old boy from Vikings is back. And like you said, so is Paul Walter Hauser is back. But also we have Vietnamese actors doing it. So it was nice to see them. So there are things to recommend here. I will say that it can be violent and the camera stays. Now, one thing that Spike likes to do is to splice in real footage of real history.
Yeah.
And it's tough. But Spike Lee, and we've always said this, Ref, is one of the very best documentarians ever to live. Okay? And when he splices this footage together, it is effective. He brings it in at the right time. You feel it. That is a documentary he could just make.
Yeah.
He just knows how to, and that's what I mean with the rhythm of it. When you watch that editing, everybody, and then watch the other scenes, just see what the difference is. Okay? Just see what the difference is. Also, the score by Terrence Blanchard is always great.
Yeah.
A master. But they also use Marvin Gaye.
Uh-oh.
Very smart.
Very.
You go, okay, a Black movie about Vietnam, of course you have Marvin Gaye. But the way that they use Marvin, when you get toward the end, they take the music out. It's just him singing. So, like, I'm watching this going, oh, there's a great movie in here. There is one. We could put it together and it would be an hour and a half. Now, I think that if you are at all interested in this, it's on Netflix. Watch it. Is it timely? Yes. Will you learn some things? Yes. Will it be bracing at times? Yes. But I was not disappointed in watching it. I am not upset that I spent that much time watching it. I watched it, Ref, on my iPad and on the television. It looks great. Either way, looks just absolutely great. So there you go from my perspective. As a lifelong Spike Lee fan, I would put this in the middling category for him. Not the worst, definitely not the best. But I think if you're at all interested, that you should watch it.
Well, there you have it. We've got some TV shows for you. We've got a sneak peek and a first look. So, like we said earlier, if you're tiptoeing outside because things are slowly opening, you can always retreat back inside after you've done your little duty outside and check out some of these offerings we have for you.
Thanks for listening. For additional resources, visit WhyWatchThat.com.
Good idea, and we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and leave comments, feedback, and you can rate us on iTunes.
We'll see you next week.
See you.